Have you ever felt like you're trying so hard, yet your life still isn't moving forward? Thomas was a 32-year-old man living in a small town where factories operated day and night. He worked as a night security guard at a large warehouse, starting his shift at 8 p.m. and returning home just as the sun began to rise. His life repeated itself in an exhausting cycle, working at night, sleeping during the day, and then doing it all over again with no real change in sight. Thomas lived in a cramped room with a broken fan, a flickering light, and a few worn-out belongings. His small salary was just enough to survive, but never enough to dream of a better future. Yet what hurt him the most wasn't the poverty, it was the feeling of being trapped in his own life. Every morning on his way home, he saw families having breakfast together, children getting ready for school, and men in clean shirts starting a new day. Meanwhile, he was only heading back to sleep. Thomas wasn't lazy. He worked hard every single night. But deep down, he knew a painful truth. Working hard in the wrong direction will never lead you to a better life. Even though Thomas often had those thoughts, the truth was that with his night shift job, he felt completely powerless, unable to live any differently. Every evening, he went to work. Every morning, he returned home exhausted. By the time he woke up in the afternoon, half the day was already gone. His body was constantly drained, his mind foggy, and whatever small piece of hope remained was quickly crushed under the weight of survival. He kept telling himself that one day he would find another path, that one day he would change his life. But day after day, everything stayed the same. His job consumed his time, his energy, and even his ability to think clearly about the future. Deep down, Thomas knew he couldn't keep living like this forever, yet he felt trapped in a suffocating cycle, with barely enough time to breathe. Then one day, everything changed. Right after finishing his shift, his phone suddenly rang. It was his sister, her voice trembling as she told him their mother had collapsed and was now in the hospital. Without hesitation, Thomas rushed to catch the earliest bus back home, his heart filled with anxiety and fear. When he entered the hospital room, the sight of his mother overwhelmed him. She lay there, weak and fragile, her face worn down by years of hard labor. The doctor said she had collapsed from exhaustion and needed better care, but the most painful truth was that they couldn't afford proper treatment. His mother held his hand, her voice faint but full of urgency. "My son, don't live the life I did. Find a way to change." Those words carved themselves deeply into Thomas's mind. For the first time, he stopped avoiding the truth. He realized that if he didn't change, his life would remain stuck, and the people he loved would continue to suffer alongside him. That night, standing beneath the early light of dawn at 5 a.m., Thomas finally understood. This was not just a moment. It was the beginning of a new life. On the bus ride back to the city, Thomas was still lost in his heavy thoughts. But then his eyes landed on an older man sitting across from him, well-dressed, calm, and completely absorbed in a book, while the world around him was still half asleep in the early morning. Thomas recognized him as a successful businessman. But what puzzled him wasn't the man himself, it was the time. It was only around 6 a.m. Unable to hold back, Thomas asked, "Sir, why do you wake up so early?" The man looked up and smiled. "Because from 5 to 7 a.m., that's when I build my life." Thomas paused. The man continued, his voice steady. "When the world is still asleep, you have the greatest advantage. No noise, no distractions. This is when your mind is at its strongest. If you use it wisely, you can move much faster than most people." Thomas asked again, still unsure, "But just 2 hours, is that really enough?" The man looked straight at him. "It's not 2 hours, it's 2 hours every day, repeated daily. That's how a life changes." He pulled out a small notebook and said, "Listen carefully. First hour, learn a skill that increases your income. Second hour, train your body, read and plan your life. No scrolling, no delaying, no excuses." Thomas stayed silent for a moment, then asked softly, "What if I can't do it?" The man gave a slight smile. "Then 5 years from now, you'll still be exactly where you are." That sentence hit Thomas like a wake-up call. For the first time, he felt like he finally had a clear path. Before getting off the bus, The man handed him a business card. "If you're serious, start tomorrow. Not when it's easy, but when it's hardest." Thomas tightened his grip on the card in his hand. The first days of Thomas's new journey were anything but easy. When the alarm rang at 5 a.m., his body reacted immediately, heavy, exhausted, and craving more sleep. After long nights at work, waking up early felt like pushing himself beyond his limits. In his mind, a familiar voice kept whispering, "Just sleep a little longer. You can start tomorrow." Thomas lay still for a few seconds, feeling the pull of that temptation. But then he remembered his mother's words and the life he was trying to escape. He took a deep breath, forced himself out of bed, and quietly said, "No, I have to change." Those first mornings were a struggle. He sat down to study, but his mind was foggy, his eyes barely staying open from lack of sleep. At times, he questioned whether what he was doing even mattered. But then he answered himself, "If I quit, I'll go back to the same life." His body was tired, his spirit often shaken, but Thomas kept going. Day after day, even though no one noticed, even without immediate results, he stayed committed to his discipline. And in that difficult period, something important began to grow, not instant results, but a transformation from within. After a period of consistent effort, Thomas finally began to see clear changes in his life. His body gradually adapted to waking up at 5 a.m., his mind became sharper, and his overall mindset grew more positive. The knowledge he had been learning each day, especially in Excel and basic accounting, no longer felt unfamiliar, but instead became practical skills he could actually use. By the third month, Thomas decided to apply what he had learned to his job. He created a simple spreadsheet to reorganize the warehouse data, making everything clearer and more efficient. That small initiative quickly impressed his supervisors. For the first time, people no longer saw him as just an ordinary security guard. They began to notice his proactiveness, his effort, and his potential. In that moment, Thomas realized that all those quiet early mornings had not been in vain. The first door of opportunity had finally begun to open. After 90 days of consistently waking up at 5 a.m., Thomas's life changed in ways he had never imagined. From a night shift security guard trapped in exhaustion and frustration, he gradually became a disciplined, proactive person with a clear sense of direction. Through those quiet morning hours of learning and self-improvement, Thomas not only gained valuable skills, but also created new opportunities for himself. He was trusted with a better position, his income improved, and he was finally able to take better care of his mother. But the most important change wasn't the job or the money. What truly mattered was that Thomas no longer felt powerless in his own life. He realized that success doesn't come from luck. It is built through small actions repeated every single day. If you're still waiting for an opportunity to change, remember this: that opportunity might begin tomorrow morning. The moment you choose to start, everything can begin to shift.